The beginning of being anything is the dream. The beginning of being anything, it starts with a dream. One day, somebody had the dream of being able to fly like a bird. Well, today we have airplanes. Somebody had a dream of one day going into outer space. People go to the moon and they come back. People one day had dreams of being able to travel at high speeds, all types of things. It all starts with a dream. Martin Luther King had a dream that one day all of us could unite and come together. Well, it's happening. It hasn't fully happened, but it's happening. But it started with a dream. Those dreams are available to each and every one of us. So parents, if you have a child that says something that's beyond the realm of your thinking, don't make it not possible. So when your child says, I'm gonna be a star, and you don't really see the talent, they got something in them that you might not know about. They may have a dream and something burning inside of them that you don't know anything about. It all starts with a dream. The Bible says that a man without a dream or a vision shall perish. And that's so true. If you don't have nothing you're working for, nothing you're shooting for, you really have no focal point in life, and you wander around aimlessly all the time. So all of you out there, whatever your dream is, and dream big. My father used to tell me all the time, he says, son, aim for the moon, because if you miss, you'll still be amongst the stars. The bigger you dream, the wider you let your mind fly, the more capable you become of accomplishing the thing. See, you've got to understand that it doesn't matter your financial circumstance. It doesn't matter what environment you live in. If you can see yourself out of the project, if you can see yourself outside the ghetto wall, if you can see yourself anywhere, then guess what? See it. See it and believe it to be so. That is the beginning of all things happening. It is your dream and your vision. And let me give you some advice. Don't share all your dreams with everybody, because the moment you say something to somebody and they don't see it for you or themselves, they start telling you how it won't happen. Now you allow that into your mindset when all you was doing was wanting it to be so. And now guess what? Then comes the stumbling blocks, the hurdles, the pits in the road. And now you find yourself trying to understand what they were saying when all you really had to do was go on with your dream. So when I have dreams or ambitions, I only tell one person. I usually tell my wife. And after that, I don't really share it with a whole lot of people, because I know that everybody ain't pulling for me, but I know she is. So I share with her what I'm thinking about becoming and doing and hoping for us and our family. And that's who I tell it to. I don't tell it to my friends, my boys. I don't tell it to my manager. I don't tell it to nobody, because guess what? They got their own agendas too. Now they don't see it for you, because then that's going to get in the way of some plan they had for us and them. And now next thing you know, they working against that because they got another plan. So I don't really share it with people. I share it with my folk and I share it with my God. And that's it. But do dream. If you can't think of what to dream, stop at a magazine stand or a bookstore and flip through magazines and see stuff that you'd like to have. See places that you'd like to go. Imagine things that you'd like to be. Sit down and close your eyes and imagine where you would like to be, because that is the beginning. It is the dream. There's a whole series of things you got to do to become successful, but just today, I'm just going to stay on this one thing. Do not be afraid to dream. Do not be afraid to think that you can. And remember this, you ain't too old to have a dream. Anybody can dream. I don't care if you're 45, 55, 65. You can dream about something. It can still happen for you. And the younger you start dreaming, the better you get at dreaming. And when you get good at dreaming, then after a while, you're going to have to start making some of this stuff come true. And next thing you know, you're on your way. But it starts with a dream. So dream big, open up magazines, cut them cartoons and them sitcoms off, and quit watching soap operas all day. And do something that'll stimulate your mind. The Travel Channel, the Discovery Channel. Watch a cooking show. Just get into some other things, man. You never know what's inside you, and something may spark a flame that burns in you that you really didn't even know you had, but you got to open up your mind and let it fly. Dream on with your bad self, and don't let nobody tell you that you can't. And the best way to not have a person tell you you can't is to not tell them what you want in the first place. It's your dream. It really ain't got nothing to do with nobody else.
Wake up! Wake up from your dream and make your dream a reality. Wake up! Wake up and understand the significance of the purpose that you have within yourself. Understand that if it's something that you are truly ultimately seeking in your life, then you got to go after it. There are a lot of people that are sitting around waiting for something to happen. Now, what you going to do about it? How are you going to go about doing the things that are necessary to get you where you need to be in your life? Everybody has a dream, but how much are you applying to that dream? How far are you pushing that dream? When are you going to realize that the dream is not going to work by itself? When are you going to realize that if you're not hungry enough, then you are not going to be able to satisfy the hunger that you have within yourself? So if you're a dreamer, sooner or later, you're going to have to wake up from that dream. And while you're walking down that path, concerning yourself about things that you may not be able to control at that moment, focus on what you can control within yourself. Because there will come a time when while you're applying yourself and you're going after that dream, this reality kicks in. Bam! And you get knocked down. And you get down and you're looking at the ground. The ground is not going to apologize to you. The people around you is not going to apologize to you. You got to have the ability to rise up and push yourself and believe in yourself and make that dream a reality. Show yourself, believe in yourself. Show yourself that there's something unique about you and you can do more than what you think you can do. But the dreams don't happen overnight. The goals don't happen overnight. There's a lot of work to be done. And if you're not willing to work for it, then it ain't gonna work for you in the first place. Patience is one of the things you have to remember about life. And it takes time. And you got to plant that seed. And you got to nourish it. You got to water it. You got to do all the things that are necessary. But if you don't do it right, if you don't take care of it, it won't take care of you. Don't put all the energy into things that won't help you to grow. Focus on the things that's gonna make you better so you can grow. And regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how hard it is, it's not going to be easy, and you shouldn't want it to be easy. Everybody gets something handed to them. Everybody looking for something easy. Everybody looking for a pass. There are no passes when it comes to you and you being unique and having the ability and the qualifications to make sure you get the most out of your life and out of your dream. Be passionate about it, people. I'm telling you right now. Because the world we're living in today, everybody's looking for an opportunity to do nothing. Don't wait for an opportunity to do nothing. Take the opportunity and do something with it, because it is your life. Now, if you're going after it, go after it the right way. Go after it with a full heart. And don't be afraid of it.
All of our actions echo into eternity. Long after we're gone, our lives also have an echo. Listen to me. Your life matters. What you do in your life matters. You were born to do something great with your life. You were put here for a reason, which is to make a difference in the world, which is to change your own family's tree, which is to do something great with your life. I promise you, you were put here for that, in little ways and in big ways. And there will be an echo for your life. The actions of your life will echo into eternity. The question is, will that echo for you be a whisper into eternity or a roar? And you get to decide based on the actions you take every day in your life, whether the life of you, whether it had a big meaning and it roars into eternity, or whether you play small and you just whisper into eternity. Welcome back to Max Out, everybody. I'm Ed Mylett. Today we're going to talk about the echo of life, or the echoes in life. And what I mean by that is, you know that when you hear an echo, you've said something, but there's a delayed response until you hear it coming back at you, and then you experience the result. And that's how life works. See, today, one of the reasons so many people are confused about their lack of success is because we live in a very immediate gratification type society, meaning people expect results to happen instantaneously because we can get access to information instantaneously. We can get on social media, we can get music, we can get a movie, we can get a Google search, we can get a book, we can get anything we want instantaneously. But what you can't get instantaneously is success in life. And we've been raised in a generation now, many of us, even older guys like me, we're programmed to get things right now. And this hurts us in life because we don't realize the echoes of life. See, for me, for example, when I'm having a difficult time in my life in one area or another, all I have to really do is look back 60 to 90 days, and it's the behaviors I had 60 to 90 days ago that are causing the results I get negatively right now. And so, like, for example, when I'm not really, progressing in my career or in my financial situation, if I look back 60 to 90 days prior, I stopped reading the books, listening to the audios, doing the things that grow my identity, and I pay the price 60 to 90 days later. In my body isn't looking like I want it to. If I look back 60 to 90, 120 days, that's when my diet got weaker. That's when my workouts weren't quite as intense as they were previously, and I pay the price 3 to 4 months later. This is true in every area of our life. Our lives are almost like reading a newspaper today, but we're reading the headlines from 90 days ago. And so that's what confuses people. They see the external results of their life, but if you read the newspaper from 90 to 120 days ago, that's where the news was made, not today. And so in every area of your life, you got to go in right now, you got to fuel the fire. If you've got your business going, your finances going, your relationship going, your faith going where you want it to, you have to continue to do the activities that got you here in the first place, because 90 days from now, you're going to read today's news. That's how it works. If today's news is you stop telling the person you're with you're loving them, if you stop dating them like you did in the beginning, you stop treating them a particular way, you're going to pay the price for it in 90 to 120 days. If you're not eating the way you want to, when you eat a piece of cake, you don't see the fat deposit the next day. There's a delay. And so what happens is we do these negative behaviors, and because we don't see an instant pain or an instant consequence for it, we don't think the consequence is coming, but the consequences always come. There's a delayed consequence for everything we do. And so today, you're getting the external results of 90 days ago's headlines of what you were doing. And the mistake most people make is they get things going in their life, they get their business going, and they stop the very things that got them there because they believe today is the headlines. But you're going to read it in 90 to 120 days. You're going to pay the price.
One of the great targets is the heart. I'm not talking about the physical heart, though they are connected. I'm talking about the heart vortex within the human energy field. The heart chakra, or wheel of light, as they call it in the East. And you know, we think of love in a certain way, being attracted to somebody or loving your kids. But actually, what I'm talking about, and I talk about this a lot in The Answer, it's very different. It includes that, of course. But love in its true sense does not say, I want the best for my kids, although we do, of course we do. It says, I want the best for everybody. And when you open this, it's not just love in the sense that people perceive it. It opens you to infinity. It's our connection to all that is, has been, and ever can be. And through that connection, you have insight, you have knowing. When people have intuitive knowing, where do their hands go? Look, mate, I just know. This knows because it does know, because it's connected to that which does know. And when you open your heart, you're opening your connection to a level of awareness that allows you, first of all, to see the connections, because you're coming from that level where everything is one. Therefore, you can see the connections in the reality you're experiencing. But one definition I would give for this kind of love is the absence of fear. I would call evil the absence of love. I think that's what evil is. It's the absence of love. You infuse love into evil, it's not evil anymore. It's the absence of love. And this is what this cult is. It's the absence of love. That's why it does what it does. But it's also the absence of fear. Because once you open to this insight, this self-identity, you know there's nothing to fear. Because whatever happens, whatever experiences we're having, there'll be another one along in a minute, we are always an expression, a point of attention within all that is, has been, and ever can be. And however bad the experience we're currently having, that is what we always are. All that is, has been, and ever can be. And so, this does not fear. This will always do what it knows to be right, and therefore does not consider consequences for doing what it knows to be right, because it would never consider doing anything but what it knows to be right. Thus, consequences are irrelevant. This says, I'd like to do this, but what are the consequences? And you'll always find a list of consequences why you wouldn't do it. This says, I do what I know to be right. Consequences, therefore, are not even a conversation. And one of the great fears that people have, well, it's the foundation fear, I think, is the fear of the unknown, which manifests as the fear of death. And the manipulation of the fear of death is the manipulation of this pandemic.
Intellect will be useful only depending upon what it is identified with and what is held, what holds this, how steadily. So the next dimension of the mind, the first one is called as buddhi, which is the intellect. The second one is called as ahankara. Ahankara does not mean ego, this, that, it means the identity. Whatever you identified with, your intellect functions only around that. Simple, if you just identify with a nation, if you say, I'm an Indian, everything Indian looks beautiful. If you cross the border and you say you're something else, all that looks beautiful. So whatever you identified with, it's only with that the intellect functions. So ahankara is the identity. How consciously and how steadily your ahankara has been created will determine the effectiveness of your intellect. Just because it's sharp, it does not mean it'll be effective, because sharp intellect or a sharp knife can cause any amount of damage to you. If you have a sharp knife and you don't have a steady hand, you will cut yourself all over the place. That's all that's happening. Human suffering is just this. You don't know how to hold this intellect in your hand properly. Every day you're cutting yourself. All suffering is on self-help because your own mind causing this to you all the time. No matter what happens, people suffer, whichever way they suffer, because they don't know how to hold this intellect. If you had the mind of an earthworm, you would be quite peaceful. Yes? You're trying to do it in so many ways to reduce the sharpness of the intellect by drink, by drug, by overeating, by doing all kinds of things somehow to take away the sharpness because the damn thing hurts. It hurts not because that's its nature, it hurts because you do not know how to hold it. The next dimension of the mind is called as manas, which is a huge volume of memory. It is not here or there, entire body carries memory. So, manomaya kosha, this is called, a huge sack of memory. This memory is in various stacks, we'll not go into all these details considering some people have said a clear no. They don't want to have a mind, I'm sorry, they don't want to know anything about the mind. So the fourth dimension of the mind is called as chitta. Chitta means it's pure intelligence. It is unsullied by memory. It has no trace of any kind of memory, it's just pure intelligence. If you touch this, then you have access to what you're referring to as the source of creation, because all kinds of things might have been fed to you. God is this, God is love, God is compassion, God is kind, whatever. Somebody come, stand on the edge of this stage, say all the prayer you want to say and fall. Let me see whether compassion happens to you or a cracked bone happens to you. I would like to check, all right? All these things have been made up because whatever somebody is deprived of, they will attribute that quality to their idea of God.
God said He will give you beauty for ashes. But here's the key, you have to let go of the ashes before you receive the beauty. You can't go around hurt, living offended, upset, and see the new things God has in store. You have to clear out the clutter. That's what makes room for God to give you the beauty. The mistake we make sometimes is we think we have to get even. We have to pay people back. No, that's not your job. If you'll turn it over to God, He'll be your vindicator. He'll bring justice into your life. He saw every hurt, every wrong, every person that took advantage of you. I've learned God will vindicate you better than you can vindicate yourself. David said, God will prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies. That means when God brings you out, those people that did you wrong, the people that tried to hold you back, they will see you promoted, honored, in a position of influence. God is not going to vindicate you in private. He's going to do it in public. So your enemies see you blessed, favored, successful. When my dad went to be with the Lord and I stepped up to pastor the church, I was very insecure. I had never ministered before. One Sunday, right after I first started speaking, I was walking through the front lobby and I overheard these two older ladies talking. One said, "He's not as good as his father." The other answered, "Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it." That was the last thing I needed to hear. It was like my worst nightmare. I was tempted to shrink back, think I can't do this. Nobody's going to listen to me. But I felt something rise up in me so strongly. I thought, who are they to tell me what I can't do? They didn't breathe life into me. They don't determine my destiny. They didn't know me before I was formed in my mother's womb. I don't need their approval. I don't have to have them to be for me. I did what I'm asking you to do. I cleared out the clutter. And every time their voices came to my mind, I said, no thanks, I am well able. I am strong in the Lord. God being for me is more than the world being against me. And they still may not like me, but that's okay. When they turn on the television, they probably see me. When they're flipping through Sirius XM, they might hear me. What was that? God preparing a table in the presence of my enemies. When we were trying to acquire this building, the former Compaq Center, a well-known business leader in Houston told a friend of mine that it would be a cold day in hell before Lakewood got the Compaq Center. He was very against us. The company we were up against was much bigger, had many more resources, but God stepped in and made things happen that we never could make happen, and here we are today. But I can imagine every time that man drives down the freeway, sees our building with the big Lakewood sign, he must think it's a cold day in hell, because here we are. What was that? God honoring us in front of the opposition. And I'm not gloating over it, not too much anyway, but here's my point. God knows how to vindicate you. It would be one thing if he did it in private. We would be grateful, but God is going to do it in public. He's preparing a table in the presence of your enemies.
Negativity, you can protect yourself from negativity. And that's what stops most people, negative thought. You can coat your mind from negativity. It's a real simple exercise to do. I do it every morning before I walk out the door. So I walk out as a positive person. You know, I get tired sometimes. That's different from being negative because I get mentally drained from my job at times. But to coat your mind from negativity, the way you can put a coating around your mind is with one simple thing, gratitude. Gratitude erases negativity. I'm gonna show you how this works. If you wake up in the morning and you start having negative thoughts, man, this ain't my day. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm tripping, I just don't feel myself. Every time you feel, in the middle of the day, if you feel yourself doing that, stop. Just stop for a second and start going over in your mind everything you have to be grateful for. Not everything you want, everything you already have. Because what you have is substantial. You just haven't gone over the list and taken inventory in a long time. But the fact that you can walk, that's a blessing. The fact that you woke up, that's another blessing. The fact that you can see, think, reason, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go somewhere and get yourself something to eat, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go and turn the key and call someplace home, that's another blessing. The ability to dream is a blessing. The fact that you have an opportunity to get it right is another blessing. The fact that you're beautiful, that's another blessing. The fact that you have any measure of health, that's another blessing. And I'm just talking to you, I don't even know you. I could give you 50 things you ought to be grateful for right now. I don't even know you. Start coating your mind with gratitude. It'll change everything for you.
So today's message is about thinking. So here's some stats you need to know. Number one is, average person, you and I have about 75,000 thoughts a day rattling around in this thing we call our brains and our minds. 75,000 of them. The crazy thing is 91% of those thoughts are identical to the previous day, and are identical to the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. And then we wonder why our life seems to repeat itself over and over again. So really the difference in our life, if we have 75,000 thoughts a day, here's the crazy thing, 91% of them are exactly the same. The separation in our life is in those 9% of their thoughts, because remember this, these magnets are pretty powerful. That's why I'm always saying that your obsessions become your possessions, because they do. You draw into your life exactly what it is you think about. It's a physical reality that you attract to yourself what you think about. So the difference in our life is 9% of our thoughts. That's why people say all the time the difference between winning and losing is so small, it's almost too scary to talk about. And really, we've identified what it is. It's 9% of what we think about alters the direction of our life. So what I'm here to tell you today is you've got to hone in and get aware of what you think about, and then alter those 9% of the thoughts that are variable on a daily basis to serve you. Because if you don't, these thoughts become like viruses. They're viruses in our mind. What happens in a computer when it gets a virus? It slows down. It becomes sluggish. It doesn't function at its optimal level. Same thing with our thinking. If we don't get those 9% of our thoughts to serve us, our lives go in a completely different direction. So remember this. You don't see things in your life as they are. You see things in life as you are. And so the more you alter you, the more you begin to see things differently. What's is amazing about this is we control who we are by what we think about. Think about this just for a second. Wherever you're sitting watching this, the chair that you're sitting in, if you're sitting in a chair, if you're driving in a car and you're listening to this, that seat you're in started in someone's mind as a thought, right? Every detail of it, the fabric, the cushions, the way it's structured, every single piece of that started in someone's mind as a thought and then became a reality by putting out the pieces together. See, everything in life is that way as well. It always begins with a thought. When we think a new thought, here's what literally happens. Thinking a new thought literally opens a space up in our minds, in our lives, that never existed before prior to having that thought. It's like a brand new space you've created just by thinking it. And what happens is your unconscious and subconscious mind goes to work on filling in that space with the people, places, resources, and things to fill it up like a room and an architect would, to fill up that space and fully furnish it. That's the power of how we think. So literally everything that exists started as a thought in someone's mind and then became a material matter. And so you've got to begin to think about the things you want to materialize in your life on a regular basis and think about it repetitiously. Literally the things that we obsess about become the things that we possess in our lives. Most people, those variable 9% of their thoughts is the new thing they're worried about, the new fear they have, the new response to an email they have to make, and they never dictate the terms. Remember this, your mind is a weapon. And you got to begin to use it and pick that weapon up and control it. Most people are out of control with their mind. They don't point it at something. They let the world point it and they misfire all the time. So today, I want you to pick up that weapon that is your mind and begin to point it at the things you want, knowing that it's a magnet that draws to you the things in your life that you would most like to have or that you would most not like to have. And that's where most people make the mistakes in their life. So today I want you to begin with first taking an inventory of the thoughts you have that don't serve you. And I want you to write them down. And I want you to eliminate them. Step one, write down the thoughts that don't serve you and eliminate them. How do I eliminate them? By replacement. You eliminate them with replacement by thinking a new thought. It's as simple as saying, what thought would I need to have that would serve me to get this goal or dream or vision that I have? And get that thought, write it down, repeat it over and over and over and over again. Because there's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system.
But I think that's good advice. Don't be a follower, be a student, right? Take advice, but not orders. Take information, but don't let somebody, order your life. Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. Excellent note to make. Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. Not to do what someone else says. Take what someone else says, process it, think about it, ponder it. If it makes you wonder, if it makes you think, then it's valuable. Then when you go take action, make sure that the action is not what somebody told you to do. Make sure the action is the product of your own conclusion. If you'll follow just a little bit of those simple guidelines, I'm telling you, the learning process can be speedy, swift, powerful. Your learning curve can go up, and then applying it to your business, your life, your family, conversations, equities of all kinds. You'll find some progress like I did that first 5 years when I met a teacher willing to share with me, turn my life around. Progress I couldn't believe happened for me. Okay, let's get started. I want to review, I was here last time and we talked about the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. And I just want to review those because it lays such a good foundation for all the rest that I want to share with you today. We got a lot of subjects to cover, So we're going to go rather swiftly, okay? Put on your mental track shoes here and run with me today, because I'm going to deal mostly in concepts. Expect you to, fill in a lot of the details, because I got a lot to share. I want to get through it all. But let's lay this foundation again of the 5 major pieces. Happens to be the title of my latest book, but I think it is so valuable in laying a foundation. It's some of the things I learned between ages 25 and 30. The teacher who taught me so well. He dealt in these fundamentals, we call these. Fundamentals. We call these basics. Basics for sports, fundamentals for sports, fundamentals for your business, fundamentals for the way you deal with your family, a few simple things, a few basic things that if you practice every day can make all the difference in the world, how it works out. I boiled it down to 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. Let's just review those. Number 1 is philosophy. Philosophy, as I taught the last time I was here, philosophy, in my personal opinion, is the major determining factor in how your life works out. Philosophy, the major determining factor in how your life works out. Philosophy. To form our philosophy, you got to think, got to use your mind, got to process ideas. And this whole process over a lifetime, starting way back here when we were children, schools that we've attended, our parents, our experiences, all this stuff that we've processed by the thinking process helps to develop our philosophy. And in my opinion, each person's personal philosophy is the major factor in how your life works out. Here's what I called it in that last presentation when I was here. It's called the set of the sail. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. Now, I used to think it was circumstances that ordered my life. If someone would have asked me at age 25, Mr. Rohn, how come you're not doing well? Pennies in your pocket, creditors calling, nothing in the bank, behind on your promises to your family, you live in America, 25 years old, got a beautiful family, every reason to do well, and things are not going that well for you. What is wrong here? It would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I mean, it would not have occurred to me. Saying, well, I got this lousy philosophy, and that's how come I got pennies in my pocket and nothing in the bank. Things aren't working well. That would not have occurred to me. I found it much easier to blame the government. Much easier to blame the tax problem. I used to say taxes are too high. Top tax rate when I first started paying tax, 91%. Back then, when your income reached a certain level, all your income over that, 91%. So I used to say that's too high. Now, the top tax rate's about 33%. But people are still saying what? Taxes are too. See, but you can't use that anymore. If it's gone from 91 to 33, how could it be too high? Come on. I threw all that old excuse stuff away. Some people found it, though, and they're my old list. I used to blame the traffic, the weather, used to blame circumstances, right? People say I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too old. I was raised in obscurity, raised on a farm, parents of modest means, all the stuff. If you were to ask me, how come you find yourself here, Mr. Rohn, age 25, living in America, land of abundance and opportunity, pennies, zero in the bank, not doing well, creditors calling, it would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I found it easier to blame the company policy. I used to say, if this is all they pay, how do they expect you to do well? So I figured that, my future was going to be tied to what everybody else was arranging, the economy and, right, interest rates. I used to say things cost too much. That was my whole explanation, not my philosophy, until my teacher taught me better that this is where the problem was, my own personal philosophy. Here's what's exciting about each person's personal philosophy. That's what makes us different than dogs and animals and birds and cats and spiders and alligators. That's what makes us different than all other life forms. The ability to think, the ability to use your mind, the ability to process ideas, and not just operate by instinct. In the winter, I'm telling you, the goose can only fly south. What if south doesn't look too good? Tough luck. It can only fly south. But see, human beings are not like a goose, can only fly south. I mean, you can turn around, go north, you can go east, you can go west, you can order the entire process of your own life. And we do that by the way we think. We do that by exercising our mind.
Your belief is counted unto you as righteousness. It will make the difference between where you fell short and what I call you to be. The last mile of the way is filled in simply by faith. That's a really good deal.
Whatever we have right now, whatever we're demonstrating in our lives, is a result of what we believe subconsciously that we deserve. And part of increasing that belief level is that you have got to convince yourself every day Let me share something with you. You can learn all the techniques in the world. If you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen for you.
This is who I am. I am defined by my vision, my purpose, and my goals. That's my playbook. That's my creed. That's what I believe. You see, the reason that's important, if you know who you are, then you know who you are not. If you don't know who you are, somebody can ascribe any identity onto you, and you will morph into whatever they want you to be. And that's what has happened with a whole lot of us. Some of us have been 10 or 12 different people, depending upon who we were with, because we don't know who we are. We become whoever they want us to be, and then when they leave us, we are confused because we have no real understanding of who we are.
All of the power that you have and all of the strength that you have and all the ideas that you have are born in your uniqueness. And what makes you unique, and this may sound really silly, but it's just really true. What makes you unique is what makes you special. And if you don't, if you spend your whole life trying to conform, trying to be what somebody else thinks you should be, or fit into a mold or fit into a system, and you dull down your specialness, then you're dulling down all of your ability to change the world. So I think that it's very, very important that people have an opportunity to be the best of themselves that they can be.
Wouldn't it be amazing if you believe that? Wouldn't you sleep good tonight if you believe that? Wouldn't you walk around with your head up and your back straight if you believe that? Say it again, I can do all things. You wouldn't be intimidated by anybody, anywhere, at any time if you just believe that. Say it again, I can do all things. Can you imagine how different your job interview would go if you really believed that and walked in, they said, what do you do? I can do. Imagine if you were taught that from the time you were born into the world. The first thing your mama told you when they spanked you on the behind is, don't worry about it, baby. You can do all things. We quote it, but we don't believe it.
I believe in me. If you stop believing in me, I'm not gonna believe in myself any less. If you believe that I'm irrelevant, that no one is checking for me, and that I don't mean anything to the world, because you think or believe that about me, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna believe it about myself. See, the day that you start living your life according to everybody else's opinion is the beginning of the end. Most of y'all, I see it every day, all day. Most of you guys don't actually know your self-worth. You don't know your self-value. So you're like a vulnerable little child and you're shaking. And it's like, everybody loves me this week, so I love me this week. Next week, it drops. So now you're running around insecure, feeling self-conscious, and not loving yourself, sad and depressed, based on the feedback, the responses, and the energy that the rest of the world is giving you.
Okay, so imagine that something glimmers before you. It's an interest that's dawning, and you decide, well, first of all, you're paralyzed. You think, well, how do I know if I should pursue that? It's probably a stupid idea. And the proper response to that is, you're right, it probably is a stupid idea, because almost all ideas are stupid. And so the probability that as you move forward on your adventure that you're going to get it right the first time is zero. It's just not going to happen. And so then you might think, well, maybe I'll just wait around until I get the right idea, and which people do, right? So they're like 40-year-old, 13-year-olds, which is not a good idea. And so they wait around until it's waiting for Godot, until they finally got it right. But the problem is you're too stupid to know when you've got it right. So waiting around isn't going to help, because even if the perfect opportunity manifested itself to you in your incomplete form, the probability that you would recognize it as the perfect opportunity is zero. You might even think it's the worst possible idea that you've ever heard of anywhere. Highly likely, highly likely. And so you can take these tentative steps on your pathway to destiny, and you can assume that you're going to do it badly. And that's really useful, because you don't have to beat yourself up. It's pretty easy to do it badly. But the thing is, it's way better to do it badly than not to do it at all.
You'll be surprised of the ideas that will come to you, of the people that you'll be able to attract, of the opportunities that you'll be able to see. You'll begin to see things that have been standing there looking you in the face, say, I can't believe this has been here all this time. Here's a habit that I do. Maybe it might be of some value to you. I get up in the morning and I start writing what great ideas that I can think of today that can improve me and that will enable me to reach my goal. And I just let my mind flow. Sometimes I write 15, 20 ideas. Some days it's more difficult than others. One idea can change your life.
See, anybody who's ever done anything, who's ever taken a chance, doesn't mean that they're not afraid. Courageous does not mean being the absence of fear. I think that being courageous is willing to do it because that's what you feel, and you're going to do it anyhow, regardless. So you're not going to be immobilized by your fears or your doubts. You admit, okay, I'm scared to death. Now, okay, what is it that I must choose to do? Go ahead and experience that fear, but don't let that fear immobilize you.
I'm telling y'all right now, the day that you allow the opinions of everybody on the outside world to define your day-to-day, month-to-month, and year-to-year, it's the beginning of the end. Love yourself, believe in yourself, independent of the validation of the world. Have opinions and feelings about yourself, independent of the feedback.
Those of you who are dealing with things, walking through situations in this life, those dreamers in here who are trying to build a dream, everything seems to be going fine, and all of a sudden you hear something. There's a rumbling. Something is happening that is trying to distract you. You've got anxiety. You can't sleep. You're tossing and turning all night long, wondering what is going on. God, what is going on in this moment? What is going on? What is happening right now? I've been there. It's a very difficult place when you know that you've got anxiety all over you.
You have to go from being a person of good intentions to a person of good actions. That's the great separator. To develop yourself, you've got to get out of the intending world and get into the doing world. In fact, your good intentions are good intentions, but they're worthless. Totally worthless. The most overrated phrase in the world is good intentions. I know all kinds of people, they have good intentions, but they never do good, because they didn't act upon what they do. So if you want to develop yourself and you want to get better, just act on what you've already expressed that you want to do. The moment you quit talking about it and start doing it, now you've got something. I had a friend named Randy one time who came to me and said, John, your talk talks and your walk talks, but your walk talks a lot louder than your talk talks. That's true. Become a person of action today.
Key phrase, faith is the ability to see things that don't yet exist. And that's how things exist. How did this hotel get here? Someone saw it while the property was vacant. You say, well, is it possible to see this hotel when it isn't here? And the answer is yes, of course. If somebody cannot see it when it is not here, then it will never be here. So it's possible to see things that don't yet exist. When should you start building this hotel? This is a good question for your philosophical musings. When should we start building the house? When should we start? And here's the answer. As soon as it's finished. You wouldn't start building the house until you had it finished. If you just started laying bricks and somebody came around and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm just laying bricks. And said, what are you building? And you said, I have no idea. See, they'll take you away to a safe place. So have you got that now? It's possible to finish something before you start. In fact, it would be a bit foolish to start until you had it finished. We've heard the old expression, don't count your chickens until they're hatched. No, we have the ability to count our chickens long before they're hatched. Because we know, we have faith, we believe. We use the law of averages. There's bound to be at least so many. So it's possible to see the end and then begin. Start looking into the future. of what you would like to accomplish, and where you would like to go, the person you would like to be, and see if you can't get a better picture of the finished objective. See yourself there. See yourself in possession of. Decide what you want and act as if it was already yours. Now, the reason we can act thinking that it's already ours is because not only can we vision the end results, we can also vision the beginning of making it real. So we don't start till it's finished, but it is possible for human beings to finish something before they start.